Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Yes, no, maybe? Oh, let me just close that door. Loud and clear. Okay, great. Hi, how y'all doing tonight on this fine Friday evening? Good, great, grand, wonderful. All right, so who here wants me to read the results for the polls that you all voted in for which WrestleMania matches would be part of my live stream series heading into WrestleMania? Y'all interested in listening to that? Because that's going to be the major crux of this video, of this live stream. Okay. How many people here? I'm reading 10 people in on the chat. So how many of you all actually did vote? Just so I know who to blame later. All right, let's see. Justin, welcome. James Jackson, welcome. Elijah, how you doing? Funny things are funny. You can blame me. I most certainly will. All right. Mr. Gov, see you were in here. All right, before I read the results, I do want to do my top 10 matches for the month of January 2019, which I did post in the posted in the description for this live stream, but I'll go ahead and read them off real quick. Number 10, I had LAX versus the Lucha Brothers for the Impact Tag Team titles from Homecoming. Number 9, I have the Undisputed Era versus the War Raiders for the NXT Tag titles from NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Number 8, I've got Pete Dunne versus Joe Coffey for the UK title from NXT UK Blackpool. Number 7 from that same show, Mustache Mountain versus Zack, Gibson, and James Drake to crown the first ever NXT UK Tag Champs. Number 6, Willie Mack versus Sami Calihan from Impact Wrestling Homecoming. Number 5, Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the British Heavyweight title. Really enjoyed that match. Number 4, Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American title from NXT TakeOver Phoenix. And then the last 3 are the 3 main events from New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 13. Kazuchika Okada versus Jay White. Kenny Omega versus Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP World title, which, as it turns out, was basically Kenny Omega's swan song from New Japan. And number 1, I gave to Chris Jericho versus Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP IC title in a no disqualification match from New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 13. And my brand of the month goes to none of the promotions I just talked about. It's going to All Elite Wrestling for the sheer amount of buzz that they have created surrounding that promotion and some of the headlines they've created. So just for getting the wrestling world's attention, I'm going to give AEW brand of the month. We'll find out in a few months if they're worthy of that attention. All right. A new episode of Superstars is airing at 11 p.m. on the network. Why the hell at 11 p.m.? Okay, when you say new episode of Superstars, is it like an old episode that they haven't broadcast on the network before? Or is it like a new episode? Because I'll watch it. I saw they posted some episodes from Superstars, but they're all from 92 after WrestleMania 8, which is a very odd period to highlight. It's like, could you at least done 91? That would have been more fun. I don't know. I would have liked it to get a little bit earlier than 92. All right. Let me just go ahead and send out one last tweet. See if anybody else is interested in joining this. All right. It's an old episode that they haven't broadcasted. It's Papa Shango from '92. Yeah, I noticed that. They had like the Warrior Papa Shango feud focused on the episodes that they were airing. And I was like, come on, guys. There's better material from superstars than that. I was kind of hoping for the El Diablo episode where I think it was Sid Justice was supposed to be facing somebody named El Diablo, and it turned out to be Jake Roberts in a mask, and Undertaker brought a casket out. It was this really weird segment. I was like, I'd like to see that again, just to see if it actually came off well, or if I only liked it as a kid because it was weird. That was from late '91. It would have been after SummerSlam, because that was when... What's better than Warrior bleeding motor oil and puking on someone after a curse? Fair question. I mean, you can't say it's like any other wrestling storyline. What do you think about Ambrose leaving? I talked about it in my last video. Well, not my last video, but my last wrestling-related video where my top 10 McFoley match video. I did talk about it briefly. I'm not convinced that it's not a work. We'll find out more as the months go on, but if he really is leaving, that's a huge loss for WWE. And it's like, man, and then obviously the speculation is, where's he going to go? I mean, immediately my brain went to AEW. But again, we'll see how it all plays out. It'll be very interesting, but like I said, it could very well be a work too. So the fact that WWE commented on it makes me think it's a work. We'll certainly see if that's the case. All righty. Well, if everyone is ready, I can go ahead and read those poll results. So let's pull right up. I have the Google Doc right here. Polls are officially closed. So it is time for me to read the results. So what are these polls for? In case you don't know, I'm going to be doing another live stream series, and this one is going to be regarding me live streaming and watching and reliving old WrestleMania matches. So I'm going to be going through each WrestleMania, and I'll be watching 2 matches from each WrestleMania. One that I picked and one that you guys picked through the polls. And tonight we're going to find out which matches won the polls. And I have a funny feeling I threw the banana peel in front of myself, and I am in for a rough time with some of the selections that I put on the polls. I'm really not looking forward to reading the results for WrestleMania 22. I think I know what I did to myself there and what you all did to me. But without further ado, let's get started. Oh, boy. All righty. We're going to start with WrestleMania, the very first one from 1985. My choice for a match, the one that I picked, was the main event, Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. Let's open up the poll. And the selections were, and as I'm reading these results, I'm going to go through all the selections one by one, and I'm going to state which match I want to win the poll and which match I think will win the poll. So we'll go right into that. So the selections for WrestleMania 1 are Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd in the, I think I made a mistake there. I have it listed as a $10,000 slam match. I believe, if memory serves me right, it was $15,000. So my mistake. But Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd in the Body Slam Challenge. Leilani Kai versus Wendy Richter for the WWF Women's title with Cyndi Lauper in Wendy Richter's corner. Both those matches are big ones and were major highlights of the first WrestleMania. I also put on Greg Valentine versus the Junkyard Dog for the WWF IC title. The U.S. Express defending the WWF tag titles against Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. The very first title change in WrestleMania history. So we got some historical significance there. And Tito Santana versus the Executioner, which I selected because it is the first match in WrestleMania history. And I thought if that one wins the poll, that would be a really cool one to watch first. Just because it was literally the match that started it all. All righty, let's see the results here. Well, let me say, the one I want to win the poll, honestly, looking at these 5, I could go either way with any of these. Like, I could watch Tito and Executioner. It's the first Mania match. I could watch the first Mania title change. Valentine and Junkyard Dog was a solid match, if I recall correctly. And then the women's title match and the slam match were major moments for the first WrestleMania. So it'd be, I feel like I'd have a lot to say and react to rewatching both of those matches. So it's really not a bad pick here. So I don't think you all are going to hurt me too much. Let's read the results. All right. Ooh, big winner here. Okay. The winner is, with 49% of the vote, Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd, the body slam match. So, yeah, y'all picked a match that I have said in the past is the first true WrestleMania moment. So that is going to be a really fun one to relive. And I've got a lot to say about that match as we get closer to it, and how perfectly that match was booked and how it would probably go horribly wrong if it was booked today with today's mindset. Leilani Kai and Wendy Richter had 10% of the vote. Greg and Junkyard Dog had 6% of the vote. Number 2 actually went to U.S. Express versus Sheik and Volkov for the tag titles with 20% of the vote. I don't know if you all picked that one because it was the first title change in Mania history. And Tito versus Executioner won with 14, or came in with 14% of the votes. So, Andre and Studd pretty much clearly ran away with that one. So we got our first kind of squash out of the 34 polls here. So, all right, I'm happy with that choice, but there wasn't really one that I was going to be unhappy with. So, all right, now we move along to 1986, WrestleMania 2. The match I picked is the Dream Team versus the British Bulldogs for the WWF tag titles, a match that I picked as match of the night, and a great tag match and one that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to enjoy watching that one again. It was the main event, the final match of the the Chicago portion of the show. As many of you know, this show was divided into 3 portions, New York, Chicago, and LA. And this was kind of like the second main event, even though they designated the NFL WWF Battle Royal as the main event of Chicago, but the tag title match went last. So I'd look at that as the main event of that portion of the show. All right. And the selections for the poll are the main event of the LA portion and the show as a whole. Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy for the WWF title in a steel cage match. This is the first WWF World title match in Mania history, and the first and only steel cage match if you don't count Hell in a Cell as being a steel cage, which I don't. It's a different thing. So we have that. We've got the WWF NFL Battle Royal, which was a major highlight of the Chicago portion of the show. We have the main event of the New York portion of the show with Roddy Piper taking on Mr. T in a boxing match, a bit of a notoriously bad match. Didn't Meltzer give that like -5 stars or something ridiculous like that, -4 stars? Also from the New York portion, we've got Randy Savage versus George the Animal Steel for the IC title. And finally, from the LA portion, I selected Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana versus the Funk Brothers. Terry and Haas, not quite Dory anymore. For some reason, he had to be Haas Funk. So of those 5 selections, I can watch any of those again. I'm not going to say I love any of the matches here, but I don't dislike any of them. Even the boxing match, I get kind of a perverse enjoyment out of for Roddy Piper just being amazing. But I can rewatch any of these, so I don't really have a preference on winning the poll. Which one do I think will win the poll? I think the winner will probably be the main event. I think the tendency is going to go towards the biggest match. So I think you all are going to pick the main event to win it. So let's see if I'm right. Let us see. And the winner for WrestleMania 2 is not the main event. I was incorrect. Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy got 28% of the vote. The WWF NFL Battle Royal got 21% of the vote. Randy Savage versus George Steele got 11% of the vote, and Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana versus the Funks got 0%, no votes at all. But the winner goes to Roddy Piper versus Mr. T in the boxing match with 40% of the vote. So, all right, y'all have spoken. You picked the notorious one. Honestly, I do enjoy that match. I don't think that's going to be a painful viewing experience. So, okay. All right, so we've got Piper and Mr. T, and the tag title matches being the matches I will watch from WrestleMania 2. Let's move on to a big one, WrestleMania 3 from 1987. This is one that I've said many times in the past. You know, WrestleMania may have come to life in 1985, but it was born in 1985, but it came to life in 1987 with WrestleMania 3. So let's see what we got here. All right, so the match I selected for WrestleMania 3 to watch is the heavily celebrated and classic, all-time, one of the greatest matches of all time, Randy Savage defending the IC title against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in the conclusion to their long-running feud. So that was an obvious pick for me. It's one of my personal favorites in Mania history, and I definitely want to relive and watch that one. But from the poll, there are 5 selections, as with all of them. The selections are the main event, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant for the WWF World title, a match that many would say is the biggest match in the history of professional wrestling, much less WrestleMania. So that's a biggie. I also put on the poll Roddy Piper versus Adrian Adonis in the hair versus hair match, a match that we all were told at the time would be Roddy Piper's retirement match. That didn't happen, but, you know, still. We have the 6-man tag match, the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana taking on the Hearts and Dangerous Danny Davis, the crooked referee, as the babyfaces try to get their revenge on the referee that screwed them out of their titles. Also on here is Billy Jack Haynes versus Hercules Hernandez. Bit of a sleeper hit on this show. I actually really liked that match. Very, very basic grudge match, but it was very enjoyable. And next we have, finally on the poll, we have a match that is got a bit of a negative reputation, but I thought it was a good comedy match, and it actually told a really good story throughout the match. I actually kind of enjoyed it, and that's Hillbilly Jim, Little Beaver, and the Haiti Kid taking on King Kong Bundy, Lord Littlebrook, and Little Tokyo. People look back on that one as a bad match, but I kind of got a kick out of it. So if that one wins the poll, I'm not going to regret it. But looking at this poll, my preference would be Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. That would be my preference because it is such a big match, and it's one of those matches that I've watched like 1,000 times, and I could watch it 1,000 more times. It just has that magical atmosphere to it. I want to relive that. And I think that also won the poll. So let's see if I'm correct. Oh, yeah. There was no contest here. Yeah, with 80% of the vote, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant won the poll. That was... Wow, that's what we call a squash match, ladies and gentlemen. Roddy Piper versus Adrian Adonis got 2% of the vote. Bulldogs and Tito versus Hearts and Danny Davis got 8% of the vote. Billy Jack Haynes and Hercules got no votes at all. And the mixed tag with Hillbilly Jim and King Kong Bundy and the Little Wrestlers only got 10% of the vote, which was actually number 2. So, yeah, that was the second place one. But Hogan and Andre ran away with that one, and I'm not surprised. It is such a legendary match that it's only a natural that would be – if that one wasn't part of a WrestleMania live stream series where I'm reliving the classic WrestleMania matches, like something would be missing. Like it would feel wrong for this to be left out. All right, and now we're moving on to 1988, WrestleMania 4. The match more known for having the tournament to crown the new WWF champion. My choice is actually the main event of the show, the tournament finals, Randy Savage versus Ted DiBiase to determine who would be the new champion. Excuse me. Do I have another one coming on? They typically come in 3s. Nope, I think I'm good. All right. So, yeah, Randy Savage versus Ted with Andre the Giant in Ted's corner and Hulk Hogan ultimately in Randy Savage's corner to crown the new champion. That was a natural pick for me to pick that as my choice. But thank you, Mr. Guff. I appreciate that. Bless you, too. But the 5 selections on the poll are mostly tournament matches, or like 3 tournament matches that I selected. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant from the second round. Ricky Steamboat versus Greg Valentine from the first round. I would argue the best match of the first round. Jake Roberts versus Rick Rude, also from the first round, a match that went to a time limit draw. This show's tag title match, Strike Force versus Demolition, and the 20-man Invitational Battle Royal, which opened up the show and featured Bad News Brown getting the victory. So of that list, my preference, I would like to see Steamboat and Greg again. So, yeah, I'll say that's my preference. Which one won the poll? I'm going to say I'm going to say the same. I'm going to pick that one to win. I think people are going to want to see Ricky Steamboat as part of this again. So, yeah. All right. Let's see if I'm right. Steamboat and Valentine, did that win the poll? It did not. Actually, we have a tie, interestingly enough. Okay. I said in the event of a tie, I would watch both matches. So, looks like for WrestleMania 3, I'm going to be watching 3 matches instead of 2. Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan from round 2 only got 10%. Ricky and Greg got 10% as well. Jake and Rick Rude got 16%. But the ties were actually the 2 I did not expect to get much consideration. So it shows how much I know. So with 32% each, we've got Strikeforce versus Demolition for the tag titles and the 20-man Invitational Battle Royal. I really did not expect that to get as many votes as it did. I guess we got some Bad News Brown fans voting in this thing. That's actually a really big surprise for me. I expected that to be last on the poll, to be honest. All right, so looks like you guys have got some surprises lined up for me. All right, so we've got Strikeforce versus Demolition and the 20-man Invitational Battle Royal, and I am a man of my word. So, what if your preference is the same as the poll? Nothing. I just want to see if I'm right. All right, so yeah, that's a bit of a surprise, right? I mean, I'm not upset. Obviously, I should be happy. You guys gave me a Demolition match, the match where they first won the tag titles. That's awesome. I'm a big Demolition mark, so yeah, I'm not unhappy with that. The Battle Royal is a little odd, but, you know, it is what it is. All right, now we move on to 1989, WrestleMania 5. The Mega Powers explode, and that was actually my choice for the match that I selected. Randy Savage defending the WWF title against Hulk Hogan with Miss Elizabeth in a neutral corner. The selections on the poll were, all right, we have here the IC title match, Ultimate Warrior defending the gold against Ravishing Rick Rude. Strikeforce versus the Brainbusters, a really solid tag match that also featured a tag team split. Mr. Perfect versus the Blue Blazer, bit of a filler match, but one that was kind of a sleeper hit in a way. We also got Shawn Michaels' WrestleMania debut as the Rockers take on the Twin Towers. And the opening bout, Hercules takes on King Haku. I'm going to be honest, I like every match on this poll. Some of these matches are like undercard kind of filler matches, but I think every single one of these matches is enjoyable. So, yeah, I could watch any one of these. My preference, I'm going to say Strikeforce versus Brainbusters. I want some tag team action. That would be a good one to watch. Or Rockers versus Twin Towers, either one of those. Both of those were pretty solid tag matches. I think that if I had to pick a winner for the poll, I think people are going to go with the star power. I think it's going to be Warrior and Rude that wins the poll. So let's see if I'm correct. I should also note that Hercules and Haku is one of my more favorite Mania openers. I thought that was a really good match. All right. Oh, my God. We've got another tie. Holy shitballs. Okay. All right. Well, let's get the latter ones. Okay, so Hercules and Haku got 2%. Rockers and Twin Towers got 6%. Mr. Perfect and the Blue Blazer got 6%. And then at a tie with 43% each, Strikeforce versus the Brainbusters and the Warrior versus Rick Rude for the IC title. So that's actually a nice surprise. I enjoyed both of those matches. So, yeah. Wow, thank you, guys. That's nice. That was really nice. Yeah, that's a nice surprise. I'm going to have fun reliving both of those. I love the finish of Warrior Rude, by the way. That's one of my favorite childhood finishes and a great moment for Bobby the Brain Heenan. So, all right, you guys are surprising me. We're getting some nice surprises here. I didn't expect 2 ties. I didn't expect any ties, to be honest. All right, now we go into the 90s. The first WrestleMania of the 90s, 1990, WrestleMania 6. My choice was obviously the match that this show is known for. Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, title for title, the Ultimate Challenge. An epic main event, and one that is very memorable and was an obvious pick for me of the matches I wanted to see. Keeping up with the comments here. I will break the tie. Sorry, too late. The results have been read. Can't break a tie. I want to see the WrestleMania 21 poll. You will. I'm going to get there. You won't be thanking us at WrestleMania 22. Oh, I already know what I'm in for. I can't wait to see. I expect the gap on that one to be even bigger than Hogan Andre at WrestleMania 3, which got 80% of the vote, by the way. So we'll see how that goes. But all right, for WrestleMania 6, the selections are Jake Roberts versus Ted DiBiase for the $1 million title belt. Mixed tag team match, Dusty Rhodes and Sweet Sapphire taking on the Macho King Randy Savage and Queen Sensational Sherry. Then we got the tag title match, Colossal Connection defending the gold against Demolition, Andre the Giant's final WrestleMania match. Final match for the WWF period, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Rowdy Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown, a match that is most known for Piper painting himself half black for some reason. And Mr. Perfect versus Brutus Beefcake, a match where Mr. Perfect's undefeated streak came to an end. So, of those selections, I would want either the tag title match for the Andre face turn and the Demolition title win, or Jake Roberts and Ted DiBiase, which was my second favorite match on this show, but outside of the main event. So I could go with either one of those. Yeah, those would be my preference. Which one do I think will win the poll? I think the winner of the poll is either going to be Jake and Ted or the mixed tag. Because, again, going more for star power, I think Savage is going to get some consideration. And it's Dusty's only WrestleMania match. That's crazy. This is Dusty Rhodes' only WrestleMania match. So, all right, it's either going to be Jake and Ted or the mixed tag. So let's see what you guys did. Okay, all right. All right, with 0% of the vote, Mr. Perfect and Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake. Nobody voted for that. Then at 14% for both matches, Colossal Connection versus Demolition for the tag titles and Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown. Second place, we've got Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire versus Randy Savage and Queen Sherry in the mixed tag with 23% of the vote. And with a whopping 49% of the vote, the winner is Jake Roberts versus Ted DiBiase for the $1 million title. Thank you, guys. You picked the one I wanted. Hey, blame Kyle for 22. I voted for HBK McMahon, and I appreciate that, B Slim. Did Beefcake have any fans? Dude, Beefcake was over back in the day. Like, Brutus Beefcake, the Barber, he was fucking over. So, I mean, I can't argue with that. The dude was over. But, yeah, so we got Jake and Ted lined up for Mania 6. I'm happy with that one. You guys are being good to me. I appreciate this. I'm saying this now before I get really pissed off as we get into the 20s. Okay, now WrestleMania 7. This one is going to be interesting. Now, the match I picked was Warrior versus Savage in the career-ending match, a match that I have said in the past was my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. When I did, for those of you who've been watching my channel for quite a few years now, you might remember I did the top 30 WrestleMania match series. I put this match as my #1 favorite. So when I had to make a choice, I was like, obviously Savage Warrior. I don't want to risk. I don't want to put it in your hands that I don't get to watch that match as part of this live stream series. So who wasn't over in the 80s? Sam Houston. But anyway, WrestleMania 7, this is a big one for me because this was my favorite WrestleMania from when I was a child. So I have a lot of fond memories of this WrestleMania. And the selections on the poll are that show's main event, Sergeant Slaughter defending the WWF World title against Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match, the Hart Foundation's final match on pay-per-view, Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil taking on the Nasty Boys for the WWF tag titles, The Undertaker's WrestleMania debut, the beginning of the streak, as he took on Jimmy Snuka, the Superfly, and the opening match, a great opening match, one of my favorite Mania openers, the Rockers versus Haku and the Barbarian. So there is not a bad selection on there. I could rewatch any of those matches. My preference is the blindfold match because that is such a fascinating match and one that I really enjoyed, and I really want to relive that match. So, yeah, that'd be a really cool one. Which one is going to win the poll? I think you guys are either going to go with the main event, Hogan versus Slaughter, or you're going to go with the Undertaker streak beginning, the first match of the streak. And I could go with any one of those. So, like I said, there's not a bad option on here. I could relive any of these and enjoy it, but I really want that blindfold match. So let's see what you guys did. Yes! You did it! All right. Awesome. Okay, so the winner of the poll with 51% of the vote, Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match. I'm really happy, guys. Thank you so much. We have Rockers versus Haku and the Barbarian got 3%. Undertaker versus Snuka got 13%. Yeah, that's funny. Undertaker got 13. It's like it's a magic number. The unlucky number goes to the really dark, creepy dude. 21% of the vote went to Hart Foundation versus the Nasty Boys. That was number 2. And the main event only got 13% of the vote. So the blindfold match dominated. Wow. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. Good job. This is going to be fun. I'm really going to enjoy the early Manias. Y'all made some good picks. All right, now we move on to WrestleMania 8 from 1992, the first WrestleMania that I watched live on pay-per-view. So this is a lot of special memories attached to this one. My choice was the IC title match, Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart. Great match. Excellent match. A big star-making match for Bret Hart. Excuse me. Now this one, I imagine there are 2 really outstanding matches on this show. The IC title match and the world title match, Flair versus Savage. And I figured whichever one I pick, the other one's going to win the poll. So I think that Ric Flair versus Randy Savage is going to win this poll. The other options are, besides Flair and Savage, are Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice, which was the closing match on this show. The Undertaker versus Jake Roberts, Undertaker's first pay-per-view match as a babyface. Shawn Michaels versus Tito Santana, Michaels' first singles WrestleMania match and the opening bout of the show. And the 8-man tag, Big Boss Man, Sergeant Slaughter, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, 8-man. Boss Man, Slaughter, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Virgil versus the Mountie, Repo Man, and the Nasty Boys. I put that one on here because I just needed a 5th pick. Honestly, I want it to be Flair and Savage, and I think that's going to win the poll. Anything else is just kind of feels like a wasted opportunity. So, not that Michaels and Santana's good, and Taker versus Roberts is fun, and Hogan versus Sid, Warrior's Return was actually pretty cool, and the ending was great. But really, it's got to be Flair Savage. That's got to win the poll. So come on, guys. You guys are doing really well so far. Let's see what you did. We almost had another tie. Oh, my God. That is way closer than I expected. Okay, so Michaels versus Santana got no votes. The 8-man tag got no votes. No shocker. Hogan and Sid only got 5% of the vote. With 47% of the vote, Undertaker versus Jake Roberts. I imagine there's an Undertaker mark that really went a couple of Undertaker marks that went a little crazy there. But the winner with 48% of the vote, winning by 1 vote, Ric Flair versus Randy Savage for the WWF World title. So thank you, guys. You picked the one I wanted. I get to watch the 2 best matches from WrestleMania 8. I really appreciate that. Many would say Flair and Savage is the true main event of the show. All right, from there we move on to 1993, the very notorious WrestleMania. Many say it's one of the worst manias of all time. Hi, movie fan. Welcome to the stream. Matt Chapman, how you doing? All righty. God, we got a lot of people on here. God, you all want to read me. You all want to watch me read poll results. That's amazing. But WrestleMania 9, bit of a notorious one. I don't hate Mania 9 as much as a lot of other people do. I do think there are redeeming qualities to this show. Case in point, the match that I selected, the Steiner Brothers versus the Head Shrinkers. Now, you guys watch my live streams from last year, my Clash of Champions live streams. You know I'm a big Steiner Brothers mark. So I thought the match they had with the Head Shrinkers was great, and I really want to watch that match again. So I selected that one. It's not like a big main event match or anything or the culmination of a big feud, but it is a really cool tag team match, and I really want to watch it. As for the poll, the selections are the main event, which is kind of a twofer. It's Bret Hart versus Yokozuna for the title and Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan for the title. I put that all as one since it's all basically one segment because it would make no sense for me to split that up. Also on here is Money Inc. versus the Mega Maniacs for the WWF Tag Team title. So there's a double chance for Hulk Hogan to make it on and win this poll. We'll see if that happens. The opening bout, which was also the IC title match, Shawn Michaels defending against the undefeated Tatanka. The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez, a match that I don't think is nearly as bad as people say it is. And if that one wins the poll, I'd be more than happy to explain why. And Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger, another... Yeah, Hulk Hogan did cash-ins before it was cool. That's really what it was. It was kind of the Money in the Bank cash-in before Money in the Banks were even a thing. So of that poll, I would like... God, of those... I mean, I picked the match I wanted, which is Steiners and Head Shrinker. So of those, I could live with any one of those. I guess, like, Taker Gonzalez would be an interesting one, just to hear me, like, not get super upset about it like a lot of other people would. The main event would be an interesting talking point, even though, like, the ending's kind of bullshit. The tag title match would be a fun one to do, I guess. So I guess I don't have much of a preference. Which one do I think will win the poll? I think the main event will win the poll, because it is so notorious, and it is so... Brett didn't screw Brett. Hogan screwed Brett first. All right, let's see what the results are. Okay, and I was right. With 46% of the vote, the winner was the main event, Brett versus Yoko and Hogan versus Yoko. So I get to relive that one all over again. The tag title match only got 4% of the vote. The IC title match only got 13% of the vote. Perfect versus Lex Luger only got 6%. And at number 2 was actually The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez with 31% of the vote. So that one was close, but nope, the main event got the win there. All right, next up from 1994, we've got WrestleMania 10, the show that fell on my 9th birthday. So this one was my birthday present. My choice was the opening match from the show, Bret the Hitman Hart versus Owen Hart. And I did that, again, kind of thinking along the same lines as WrestleMania 8. I just assumed that, all right, so it's going to be Bret and Owen and Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels in a ladder match. Whichever one I pick, the other one is clearly going to win the poll. So there's no doubt in my mind that the ladder match won the poll. I will be shocked if it didn't. But just for the sake of pageantry, I guess, I will go through all the options. Like I said, you got Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels for the IC title to crown the true IC champion in a ladder match, the classic all-time great, one of the best matches in WrestleMania history. Also have the 2 world title matches as separate options. The main event, Yokozuna versus Bret Hart for the WWF World title, and Yokozuna versus Lex Luger for the WWF World title. I also have Randy Savage's final WrestleMania match, the Falls Count Anywhere match with Crush, and the tag title match, the Quebecers versus Men on a Mission, because I needed a 5th match, and that was my pick. Let's read the results. If it's not the ladder match, you all failed. Yeah, the ladder match ran away with this. With 71% of the vote, the ladder match is the winner. All right, so I've got Bret and Owen in the ladder match. WrestleMania 10 is going to be a fun one. Number 2 was actually Randy Savage versus Crush with 18% of the vote. Bret versus Yoko got 5% of the vote. Yoko versus Luger got 3% of the vote. And Quebecers versus Men on the Mission got 3% of the vote. Who voted for that match? It got 1 vote, but yeah, I'm thinking of that Toy Story quote. Who invited that kid? I kid. But it's like, you had to realize you were wasting your vote, right? All right. That might be the surprise of the day that anyone voted for that tag title match. All righty. Now we're going on to a WrestleMania that I've called the very worst in company history, WrestleMania 11 from 1995. There's really no good options here. So whatever won the poll, I'm not going to get mad because there's really nothing good here. My choice was Diesel versus Shawn Michaels for the WWF World title because it is kind of the biggest match on the show, even though it's not one of my favorites. The selections from the poll are the real closing match, the main event, Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Bret Hart versus Bob Backlund in an I Quit match, a match that Bret Hart himself described as the worst pay-per-view match of his career. The tag title match, Smoking Guns versus Owen Hart and Yokozuna, which that one I guess is okay for Owen and Yoko teaming up for the first time. The IC title match, Jeff Jarrett versus Razor Ramon, that one's not terrible, and the 5th choice is Undertaker versus King Kong Bundy, which is absolute dog shit. So Yeah, not a lot to really get excited about. I guess my preference, just for the least amount of pain, would probably be the tag title match. But like I said, there's not a good option here. I think LT and Bam Bam is going to win the poll just because that was the main event. So we'll see. See what you guys did. And I was correct. LT and Bam Bam won the poll with 51% of the vote. Number 2 was Bob Backlund versus Bret Hart with 42% of the vote. Actually, I prefer LT and Bam Bam winning out over the I Quit match because that I Quit match is terrible. Smoking Guns in the tag title match only got 2% of the vote against Owen and Yoko. The IC title match between Jarrett and Razor only got 5% of the vote. And no votes for Undertaker and King Kong Bundy. That might be the only Undertaker match that got 0 votes in all of these polls. So I'm going to be watching a former New York Giant wrestle in the main event of WrestleMania. It'll be fun. Only memorable part of the tag match was Owen's reason for picking Yokozuna. Yeah, that was great, right? Because he did the one thing I've always wanted to do, beat my brother Brett for the world title. It's like, wow, what a petty asshole. I voted for the tag title match at 10 because I pulled for the underdog. Well, you really pulled for an underdog on that one, movie fan. All righty. Now let's go to WrestleMania 12. Kind of a match or a show that's defined by one match, which is the match I picked, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels for the world title in a 60-minute Iron Man match, the longest match in WrestleMania history, and one that I don't mind rewatching. Now, as for selections go, it's basically the rest of the card because the main event is an hour-long match. There's not a lot else to really choose from. It's kind of a limited card. So basically the rest of the card are all options on the poll. We've got Roddy Piper versus Goldust in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. The Undertaker versus Diesel, Undertaker's best Mania match up to this point. The return of the Ultimate Warrior as he defeated Triple H in a minute and a half. Those of you who hate Triple H, I mean, that would be a fun one to rewatch. Steve Austin versus Savio Vega, Steve Austin's WrestleMania debut. And the opening 6-man tag, Yokozuna, Ahmed Johnson, and Jake the Snake Roberts versus Owen Hart, the British Bulldog, and Big Van Vader. So my preference would be either Taker Diesel or the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. Either one of those would be fine. I think the Hollywood Backlot Brawl is going to win because I think of all the matches on the undercard, I think that's the most memorable one. It might be the longest match, but there are others that have seemed longer because of how bad they were. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? But let's see what the poll results are. And I was correct. The Hollywood Backlot Brawl wins it. Roddy Piper versus Goldust. Excellent choice, guys. You guys are picking some good ones. I like what you've done so far. I'm getting all the niceness and all the compliments out of the way because I know you all are going to fuck me over when we reach the 20s. Piper and Goldust got 55% of the vote. Number 2 was Taker and Diesel with 37% of the vote. Warrior and Triple H got 7%. I imagine those are Triple H haters that picked that one. Austin and Savio Vega got 2% of the vote, which I imagine is that one getting any votes is just because of Steve Austin. And the opening 6-man tag got no votes at all, which is a shame. It was actually a good match. Solid opener. All right, then from 1997, we've got WrestleMania 13, another terrible WrestleMania. And it turns out my choice, Bret Hart versus Steve Austin in the submission match, is literally the only thing I like about this WrestleMania. So the rest of the poll, there's not a good option. There's really not. Yeah, so the options on the poll are the main event, Psycho Sid versus The Undertaker for the world title in a no DQ match. One of the least remarkable WrestleMania main events ever. The Chicago Street Fight, Legion of Doom, and Ahmed Johnson versus the Nation of Domination. I remember that match being kind of a mess, but some people like it, so whatever. The IC title match, Rocky Maivia versus the Sultan. We got The Rock's WrestleMania debut, so if you're inclined for historical reasons, that one might be a one to go with. We got Goldust versus Triple H, which is not a match I cared for that much. China was actually the star of that match. And the tag title match, Owen Hart and the British Bulldog versus Mankind and Vader, a heel versus heel tag title match. So there's really not a good option here, unfortunately. My preference is to not watch any other match on this show outside of the submission match. I think Psycho Sid and Undertaker is going to win the poll because it's the main event. So really, I can't get mad at whatever you guys did here because there's nothing good here. Yeah, and with 58% of the votes, Sid and Undertaker won. Not surprised there. Number 2 was the Chicago Street Fight with 33% of the vote. And then all the other options are tied for 3% of the vote with 1 vote each. So somebody really wanted to see Rocky Maivia versus the Sultan. I can't imagine why. Maybe it's just a big Rock fan. We have to pick some good ones to make up for the bad ones. Oh, I know when I reach the 20s, it's going to get bad. It's going to get really bad. We're getting close. All right, next up is a great WrestleMania, WrestleMania 14 from 1998. My choice is one of my top 5 favorite WrestleMania matches of all time, The Undertaker versus Kane. I can't wait to rewatch that match. That is going to be a great one. But on the poll itself, we've got 5 options. We've got the main event, Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin with Mike Tyson as the guest referee, guest enforcer. The tag title dumpster match, the New Age Outlaws taking on Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. A very fun mixed tag match, Sable and Mark Marrow taking on Luna and Goldust. For the European title, we've got Triple H versus Owen Hart, another really good match. And then for the IC title, we've got The Rock versus Ken Shamrock, a match that isn't great, but was handled very well in terms of getting all the characters in the right place and adding some great character development to everybody involved. So that would be a really fun one to watch. But I think the main event's going to win the poll. It's one of the biggest matches in WrestleMania history, and it's actually my preference as well. So I hope that one won. So let's see what you did. And yeah, we've got another dominating one with 80% of the vote. Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin wins the poll. Number 2 with 9% of the vote is the dumpster match. And then we've got the Euro title match and the IC title match tied at 4%. And then the mixed tag only got 2%. But yeah, the main event ran away with this one, which I'm not shocked by. Also, it's the beginning of the Austin era. It's a very historic match. It's definitely like it's one of those like it would feel wrong if I wasn't watching that one as part of a WrestleMania live stream series. So now we move on to WrestleMania 15 from 1999, a show that I refer to as Sunday Night Raw because it really does feel like a really long episode of Raw. Not one of the better WrestleManias, but I did really enjoy the main event, which was my pick. The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the world title in a no DQ match, the first of 3 WrestleMania encounters for those 2 legends. The choices on the poll, not much here to enjoy because there wasn't a lot of good on this show. Undertaker versus Big Boss Man in a Hell in a Cell match, probably the worst Hell in a Cell match of all time. Bart Gunn versus Butterbean in the Brawl for All match. Hey, at least that match is short. Mankind versus Big Show with the winner getting to referee the main event, which is, I guess, is fine for a storyline perspective, but not much else. And Triple H versus Kane, which is also fine for storyline purposes, but not much else. But the match I want to win is the European title match, Shane McMahon versus X-Pac, the second best match on this show. Please, dear God, tell me that one won the poll. And I think it did win the poll because the only thing I could see is you all want to torture me and do the Hell in a Cell match. But y'all didn't do that to me, did you? Oh, my God, we have a tie. Fuck. I mean, yay, fuck. It's like half yay, half fuck. All right, so Mankind versus Big Show and Triple H versus Kane got 0 votes each. Bart Gunn and Butterbean got 10% of the vote. And then at a tie, at 45% each, I've got the Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Big Boss Man and Shane McMahon versus X-Pac for the European title. So you gave me the one I hated the most, which fuck you for doing that. But you also gave me the one I wanted, so thank you for doing that. So at least I've got that. I've got that nice little palate cleanser before having to watch the Hell in a Cell match, which, ugh, God, that thing is a train wreck. Ugh. God, there are more ties here than I expected. I'm a little surprised by that. All right, now we're going on to WrestleMania 2000 from the year 2000, the year they decided to stop numbering. This is the year where everything was 2000. Like, just every fucking thing was 2000. the turn of the millennium, and everybody was just obsessed with the number 2000. So my choice was the match that is the most remarkable match from this show, the Dudley Boys versus Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys in a tag title triangle ladder match. A very influential match, shall we say, and filled with highlights. So it was an easy pick for the match that I wanted to watch as part of this live stream. But you've got 5 options. Your 5 options are the main event, Triple H defending the world title against The Rock, Mick Foley, and The Big Show in a 4 corners elimination match. Not one of my favorites. We've also got Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit in a triple threat 2-fall match for both the IC and European title. That match would be my preference of all the other options on here. I'm hoping that you guys did me a solid there. We also have the hardcore title 15-minute battle royal, which was a clusterfuck. We have the only singles match on this show, the Cat versus Terry Runnels. I'll let that speak for itself. And Head Cheese versus Test and Albert, which I put on the poll because I didn't know what the fuck else to put on there. It didn't really matter. This was Tag Team Mania. There were so many tag matches on the show, it didn't really matter. So of those options, my preference is the triple threat. And I think the triple threat's going to win the poll because y'all are nice, right? Patrick, just wait for the 20s and 30s. You will hate us. Oh, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I might be unhappy with this one. We'll see. All right, and the winner is, oh my God, guys, what did you do? All right, Head Cheese, Test and Albert got 1 vote with 1% of the vote. Okay. The Cat and Terry Runnels and the Hardcore Title Battle Royal were tied at 4%. Number 2 was the triple threat with 32% of the vote, and with 58% of the vote, fucking hell, the 4 corners match, that clusterfuck of a match with one of the worst endings in WrestleMania history. God damn it, guys. What a disappointment. That come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right. WrestleMania 2000, a.k.a. Teddy Long's Wet Dream, right? Tag match, playa. All right. Now we're moving on to probably the most critically acclaimed WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania X7 from 2001. My choice was The Rock versus Steve Austin for the world title in a no DQ match. The second, and in my opinion, best of their 3 WrestleMania encounters. One of my personal favorite main events in WrestleMania history. And had the ending not gone the way it did, it would probably be my favorite match in WrestleMania history. But we'll talk about that when we get into that. So, that leaves 5 options on the poll. None of them bad. I could go any way on any of these. The 5 options on the poll are Triple H versus The Undertaker, Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon in a street fight, which is a 3-ring circus of a match, but a very fun one. TLC 2 featuring the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boys for the tag titles. A match in the past that I've said is overrated, but it's not a bad match by any means. It's a car wreck. I mean, it's a spot fest, totally. I think their earlier matches were better, but that's an enjoyable match. I could totally watch that one again. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit, a solid match, a match that I've also said is overrated, but it is a solid match, so I could watch that one again and not be upset. And the Gimmick Battle Royal, a match that I enjoyed more for having Bobby Heenan and both of them, the late greats, Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund calling the match. And a few other surprises along the way. So really, there's not a bad option on here. My preference, I would say my preference would probably be either Triple H and Undertaker or Vince McMahon versus Shane, just for how much of a wild car wreck that match is. But I think the TLC 2 is going to win because it is such a celebrated match. Even though I think it's overrated, I think it's going to win the poll, which I don't have a problem with that. All right, and the winner is... I was correct. All right. The Gimmick Battle Royal won 11% of the poll. Vince McMahon versus Shane got 26%. Undertaker versus Triple H got 18%. And get this. The match that I've called overrated in the past, Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit, got 0 votes. So let that sink in. Men on a Mission and the Quebecers from WrestleMania 10 got more votes than Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. I'll just let that speak for itself. I don't know what happened there. But the winner with 45% of the vote is TLC 2, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys. Expected. Again, I think the match is overrated, but maybe it'll change my mind on a rewatch. Who knows? But I enjoy the match just fine, so I don't think that's a bad choice. Alrighty, now we're going to WrestleMania 18. 2002's event happened on St. Patrick's Day, something that gets overlooked, but it did happen on March 17th. One of the reasons I remember it. Now, the match I chose is one of my favorite matches in WrestleMania history, and one of the most significant matches in WrestleMania history. Icon versus Icon, Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. One of the most emotionally charged matches I've ever seen. Now, as far as a poll goes, got 5 options. We have the main event, Chris Jericho versus Triple H for the Undisputed title, a match I am not a fan of. Undertaker versus Ric Flair in a street fight. Steve Austin versus Scott Hall, not a great match. William Regal versus Rob Van Dam for the IC title, which was the opening bout, which is a solid match. And Diamond Dallas Page making his in-ring WrestleMania debut against Christian for the European title. My preference, I will take literally anything but the main event, guys. Please. I think Taker and Flair is going to win because I'm assuming the best of you people, but I will literally take anything but the main event. I have faith in you guys. I really do. See what? Oh my God! Oh no! Oh no! No! With 71% of the vote, Chris Jericho versus Triple H for the Undisputed title. Shit! Fuck! Not happy. The street fight between Undertaker and Ric Flair got 19%. Thank you, those of you that tried. Steve Austin versus Scott Hall got 5%. William Regal versus Rob Van Dam got 3%, and Diamond Dallas Page versus Christian got 2%. Oh my God. This is where I'm going to start getting pissed off. Triple H. 4 more to go until WrestleMania 22. You all are waiting for that one. Oh my God. All right, now we got WrestleMania 19 from 2003, one of my personal favorite WrestleManias of all time. My choice was Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. It was Shawn Michaels' big WrestleMania return, and this was kind of a dream match for me, so I wanted to relive that one. And as far as the options on the poll, there's not a bad selection of the bunch. We've got Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar in the main event, Triple H versus Booker T for the world title, Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon in a street fight, Steve Austin versus The Rock in their final WrestleMania encounter in Austin's last match, and Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. I could go with any one of those. My preference would be Hogan versus McMahon if I had to pick one. But I think Lesnar and Angle is going to win the poll because it is such a heavily celebrated match. A match that I've called overrated in the past. Confirmation that everyone that voted in the poll took Coke beforehand. Yeah, right? Exactly. But, yeah, I think Angle Lesnar is going to win. It's a match I think is overrated, but it's not a bad main event. And I will have a lot to say about it, so it won't be a painful experience, assuming that won the poll. But I'm really hoping that Hogan McMahon won because I think that would be a lot more fun. And, okay, Hogan McMahon was number 2. It was close with 34% of the vote. Triple H and Booker got 5% of the vote. Austin and Rock got 17%. The Cruiserweight title match got 0% of the vote with no votes. But the winner with 44% of the vote was Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. No shocker there, but we also get to relive the biggest botch spot in the history of WrestleMania. But, yeah, I'm not unhappy about that. That's fine. And I get my Jericho-Shawn match, so we're all good. All right, next up is WrestleMania 20. We're into the 20s now from 2004. My choice was the main event, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels versus that guy we're not supposed to remember in a world title match for a world title match in a triple threat match for the world title, I should say. There are some bad options in this one. There's some really good options here. Your 5 options were Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg, one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history. The Undertaker versus Kane, which was Undertaker's return as the Dead Man. The Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution in a 2-on-3 handicap match. Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE title, and Chris Jericho versus Christian. My preference, anything but Lesnar Goldberg. Taker Kane's not great either, but I'll take anything but Lesnar Goldberg because I don't want to watch that match again. It's a shame that Oz didn't get a WrestleMania match, right? He would have been perfect for the gimmick battle royal. All right. Yeah, so I'll take anything but Lesnar Goldberg. Which do I think will win the poll? I think Eddie and Angle will win the poll because people love Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. Fuck me! What the fuck is that? Okay. 83% of the vote went to Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. You all are sadists. Sadists. Undertaker and Kane got 1 vote, giving it 1%. The Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution got 4% of the vote. Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE title got 12% of the vote. And poor Jericho and Christian got no votes. Great. You put Men in a Mission and the Quebecers above Jericho and Christian. I hope you're happy with yourselves. Meanwhile, Lesnar and Goldberg, one of the worst matches ever, got 83 goddamn percent of the vote. Fuck. Well, at least they redeemed themselves at WrestleMania 34. Or was it? It was 33. I'm sorry. But still. That happened. All right. This is fun, guys. I'm really, really enjoying myself now. God. All right, now we're up to WrestleMania 21. My choice was Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, the best match on this show. This was a pretty good WrestleMania overall, so there weren't a lot in the way of bad options. Your options were Triple H versus Batista for the world title in the main event. Probably the most anticlimactic match ever, JBL versus John Cena for the WWE title. I hope to God that one didn't win. The Undertaker versus Randy Orton, my second favorite match on the show. I'd love to watch that one again. The first ever Money in the Bank ladder match, and the opening bout, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. So really, I could do any of those but JBL and John Cena. And, yeah, sumo match didn't make the poll. Sorry, buddy. I didn't do that to myself. My preference is Orton versus Taker, and I think Orton versus Taker is going to win the poll. So let's see what you guys did. Oh, my God. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Taker and Randy Orton won by 1 vote with 39% of the vote. Number 2, JBL and John Cena. Oh, God, I dodged a bullet there. Thank you so much. Triple H and Batista got 3% of the vote. The Money in the Bank ladder match got 17% of the vote, and Edge's Ray got 3% of the vote. But the one I wanted got it. All right. Taker and Randy Orton. I'm super happy. I will call you back later. Oh, at least Cena JBL was short. Yeah, it was also super anticlimactic and depressing because I enjoyed the JBL title reign. So to see it end like that just pissed me off. All right, now we're into WrestleMania 22 from 2006. What did you guys do here? Oh my God. Let's see what you guys did. I'm going to send out a tweet because I know this is the one that everybody wanted. Okay, let's see what I got myself into here. Sorry, but you're not sorry. Don't even. I already know who won the poll. I don't know why I'm bothering reading the results. All right, my choice from the match I would be watching from WrestleMania 22 was Mick Foley versus Edge in a hardcore match, a match I recently talked about in my top 10 Mick Foley match video. The options on the poll were John Cena versus Triple H for the WWE title. Should I even bother reading the other options? Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon in a no-holds-barred match. Trish Stratus versus Mickie James for the women's title, the best-built match on this show. A solid U.S. title match between Chris Benoit and JBL, and the second Money in the Bank ladder match. All solid choices. Those 4, way better than the one that I know won the poll. John Cena versus Triple H. I know. It won the poll. Let's see by how much. Let's see how much damage you all did. I almost don't want to look. How bad is this? Oh, my God. Okay. With 85% of the goddamn vote, John Cena versus Triple H for the WWE title won it. Oh, my fucking God. I have to relive that piece of shit all over again. Oh, my God. This is horrible. This is horrible. Absolutely terrible. I am not happy with the damage that I have done to myself here. Number 2 was Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon with 9%. Didn't matter. Trish and Mickey at 3rd place with 5%. Didn't matter. And the second Money in the Bank ladder match got 1% of the vote. JBL and Benoit got no votes at all. Well, isn't that just dandy? That's terrific. Hey, at least you get to see CM Punk. Yes, I do. I do get to see. Yeah. The fans didn't screw Pat. Pat screwed Pat. I voted for good matches every other Mania, but after seeing your reviews on Cena Triple H over the years, I have to watch your reactions to it. Oh, God. Yeah, I did that to myself, didn't I? Oh, my God. I fully expected that, too. Oh, fuck. Now, let's move on to a better situation. WrestleMania 23 from 2007. My choice was Batista versus The Undertaker for the world title. A really good match. Match of the night from this WrestleMania. Now let's see what happened here. All right, your 5 options were John Cena versus Shawn Michaels for the WWE title, which was the main event. Lashley with Donald Trump, our current serving U.S. president, by the way, versus Umaga with Vince McMahon, the Battle of the Billionaires, hair versus hair. Both billionaires putting their hair on the line. I also put the 3rd Money in the Bank ladder match, the ECW Originals versus the New Breed, and Kane versus the Great Khali. The last 2 are on there because I needed to have 5 options. I think Cena versus Michaels is going to win the poll. My preference is, anything other than Cena, Michaels, or Battle of the Billionaires would be a waste of a vote, I think, because either one of those would be fun for a multitude of reasons. So I could go either way. I'm going to say my preference is the main event, and I think the main event won. Oh, no, I was wrong. Okay, so the winner is, with 54% of the vote, the Battle of the Billionaires. We're going to get presidential here with WrestleMania 23. That is going to be odd and awkward, and I might piss some people off. I might trigger some people. Who knows? John Cena and Shawn Michaels was number 2 with 24% of the vote. Number 3 was Kane versus Khali with 17% of the vote. I guess some people really, really wanted to see Kane versus Khali. And then the Money in the Bank ladder match and the ECW Originals versus the New Breed are tied at 2% of the vote. But yeah, Battle of the Billionaires won that one. That's a bit of a surprise, but I'm not unhappy about it. Yep, good old Donald. Yep. All right, now from 2008, we've got WrestleMania 24. My choice was the match that this show is most known for. Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair in a career-threatening match. The final WWF match of Ric Flair's career. And we've got 5 options. None of them are really bad, per se. The main event, Edge versus The Undertaker for the world title. We've got a triple threat match for the WWE title, Randy Orton versus Triple H versus John Cena. A surprisingly solid match with a surprising result. The 4th Money in the Bank ladder match, one of the better WrestleMania Money in the Bank ladder matches, I think. A surprise hit, the Belfast Brawl between JBL and Finlay was actually a fun match. And Batista versus Umaga, because I needed a 5th match. Probably the weakest match of the 5. But my preference of that list, probably Edge and Undertaker, and I think that probably won the poll. So let's see. Let us see. Yep, I was correct. Okay, so with 5% of the vote, Batista versus Umaga. Tied at 16% of the vote, we've got the triple threat between Orton, Triple H, and Cena, and JBL versus Finlay in the Belfast Brawl. So I guess just as many people wanted to see Hornswoggle as they wanted to see Triple H and John Cena and Randy Orton. The 4th Money in the Bank got 11% of the vote, but with 53% of the vote, the winner is Edge versus The Undertaker for the world title, the main event, and the match where Edge finally got to main event at WrestleMania. Thank God it happened. It was 2 years too late, but it happened and he deserved it. So I was just happy that he got that spot. Hi, Nick. How you doing? People want to torture me. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. People going to get political. Am I going to have to ban people from my stream from the Donald Trump match? Because it gets super political. It's going to get super, super awkward. I don't like to get political on my channel. My nose is super itchy for some reason. I don't know why. All right, now we're going to WrestleMania 25. Oh, God, this is one where you did some damage, too. I know it. My choice is the heavily celebrated and critically acclaimed Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels match. Oh, boy. Your options were Triple H versus Randy Orton for the WWE title, one of the worst main events in Mania history. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy in Extreme Rules match. Good choice. Chris Jericho versus Ricky Steamboat, Roddy Piper, and Jimmy Snuka in a 3-versus-1 elimination handicap match. That one would be fun to watch just for Ricky Steamboat's performance. Edge versus John Cena versus Big Show for the world title in a triple threat match. Not a great one, but better than the main event. And the 5th Money in the Bank ladder match. Not one of the better Money in the Banks, but still better than the main event. My preference would be the Extreme Rules match if I had to pick one, but I know you all picked Orton and Triple H. I know you. I'm hoping you didn't. Please tell me you didn't. Please, for the love of God, tell me you didn't. Oh, my God. Oh, no. With 68% of the vote, Triple H and Randy Orton ran away with this one. Number 2 was the 3-on-1 handicap match. I guess other people really wanted to see Ricky Steamboat. The Extreme Rules match got 11% of the vote. The Triple Threat World Title match got 5%, and nobody voted for the Money in the Bank ladder match. God damn it. That main event is so bad. So bad. Yes, the 25th anniversary. Yeah, the 25th anniversary. It's not the fucking 25th anniversary. Pisses me off. Oh, my God. How many shitty Triple H matches am I going to be subjected to? Because that's like... What, 4 so far? Jesus. All right, WrestleMania 26 from 2010. The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, streak versus career was my choice. Your options were, guys, I'm begging you. I am pleading with you. Batista versus John Cena for the WWE title. Chris Jericho versus Edge for the world title. Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon in a street fight. Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk, and Randy Orton versus Ted DiBiase Jr. Versus Cody Rhodes in a triple threat match. Guys, anything but Bret and Vince. Anything but Bret and Vince. For the love of God, please. Oh, my God. My preference of that list, anything but Bret and Vince. That's my preference. Literally. I will take literally anything. What do I think will win the poll? Bret and Vince. I'm almost afraid to click it. What did you do? What did you do? Oh, fuck. 76% of the poll. Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon. Why, guys? Why? Poor K. Orton, the Legacy Triple Threat match got 4%. Mysterio versus Punk got 3%. Jericho versus Edge got 9%, was the number 2 option, and Batista versus Cena got 7%. Holy shit. Oh, you're hurting. This is hurting. You're hurting me. This is getting bad, guys. WrestleMania 27. All right, my choice was Undertaker versus Triple H in a no-holds-barred match, and the options on the poll were... Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I forgot that match was on here. Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. Oh my God, no. No. Oh no. Oh God, I completely forgot I put that match on here. No. Oh my God. Guys, please tell me you didn't. Please tell me you didn't. Oh, no. Oh, God. Okay, so the other options are Miz versus John Cena for the WWE title, another terrible match. Punk versus Orton, one of the better matches on the show. Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes, not great, but better than the other options. And Edge versus Alberto Del Rio for the world title, which turned out to be Edge's final match. Guys, please. Anything but Cole and Lawler. Please, anything but that. Anything. This WrestleMania was the first WrestleMania I ever reviewed as part of this channel. And in that review, which, if memory serves me right, I did it while I was sick and I was in a grouchy mood already. I called this match the worst match in WrestleMania history. Guys, I'm pleading with you. I'm begging you. Please tell me you didn't do this. Please tell me you didn't do this. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, no. with 88% of the vote, Lawler versus Cole ran away with this one. That is a bigger gap than Hogan and Andre was for WrestleMania 3. 88% of the vote, people voted for Cole and Lawler. You all are sadistic monsters. Miz and Cena got 2% of the vote. Punk and Orton got 4%. Mysterio and Rhodes got 1%, and Edge and Del Rio got 4%. This is awful. I'm going to be miserable. And Taker and Triple H isn't necessarily that great of a match. It's, oh my God. Oh my God. What did I do? What did I do? Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm keeping up with the comments here. Pat, your Wiki is showing. Fair. Yeah. And people actually defended Cole and Lawler because King finally got a Mania match. He earned it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so glad that we got it for that reason. Yeah, that was my biggest issue with the match, is that they spent forever building that match up, and like the entirety of every episode of Raw building that match up, and you get to it, it's just the biggest piece of shit. Oh, God. Who did you piss off? Apparently everybody. Excellent. Oh, my God. That was disastrous. All right, now we're moving on to WrestleMania 28 from 2012, which featured Rock versus John Cena, once in a lifetime, which happened twice. That was the main event of the show, and it was my pick for which match I will be rewatching for this WrestleMania. The options on the poll were The Undertaker versus Triple H in a Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels as the guest referee. CM Punk versus Chris Jericho for the WWE title. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus in the world title in the opening match, that famous 18-second match. Cody Rhodes versus The Big Show for the IC title, and Kane versus Randy Orton. My preference is the Hell in a Cell match, and I think that won, because I can't imagine anything else winning the poll, to be perfectly honest. So we shall see. Oh, my God, it didn't win. Okay, so Taker and Triple H was number 2 with 30% of the vote. Punk and Jericho got 12% of the vote. Kane and Orton got 2%. Nobody voted for Rhodes and Big Show. Good for all of you. But the winner with 55% of the vote is the 18-second match between Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. So at least you picked a short one. I'll give you that. And I've got a funny story attached to that one, so that one's actually going to be funny to relive. So I actually don't mind. Had Rock not gotten hurt in the second match, they would have done once in a lifetime 3 times. Yeah, best 2 out of 3. So yeah, I guess I'm not upset about that one. It's it was one of the worst decisions on the show, but at least it's short. It won't be a painful experience. And in a weird way, it was actually the match that jump-started Daniel Bryan's career in a weird, like, roundabout way. All right. Now we go to WrestleMania 29, the show that I attended. My pick was the best match from that show, The Undertaker versus CM Punk. So I do get to watch CM Punk, because I made it that way. The 5 options are the main event, Rock versus Cena for the WWE title. Triple H versus Brock Lesnar in a no-holds-barred match. The Shield versus Randy Orton, The Big Show, and Sheamus. Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger for the world title, which is like, now that I read that out loud, that's like the most unspectacular world title match ever. And Chris Jericho versus Fandango. Fandango. Remember when he was a thing for like 5 minutes? God. I guess I don't have a preference. I don't hate any of those matches, but I don't love any of them either. I guess my preference would be the Shield match, just because it was like the Shield at their height. And the WWE didn't really fuck them up, so. How was Del Rio versus Swagger live? Unremarkable. It wasn't bad, but it was just unremarkable. But of those matches, yeah, which one's going to win? I would imagine Rock versus Cena would win the poll, but there's no earth-shatteringly terrible option. If Del Rio and Swagger wins, I'm going to like raise an eyebrow. If Jericho and Fandango wins, I'm going to raise an eyebrow, but you know, there's nothing terrible on here. Thank God. Okay, so apparently You all really want me to watch Triple H matches. So the winner was 63% of the vote, Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. Not a great match by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't even call it a good match, but it's not among Triple H's worst. So hopefully it won't be painful on a rewatch. Rock and Cena was in second place with 19% of the vote. The Shield six-man tag got 9%, and Jericho and Fandango got 10%. That's kind of amazing. And as predicted, Del Rio and Swagger got absolutely no votes at all whatsoever. All right, now we're into the 30s. We're into the home stretch, guys. Fandango, I remember him. Yeah, I remember him too. I remember when he was just a theme song like Gangrel. He's only known for the song, but that was not that spectacular. Well, it's sad because I thought Fandango had potential, but then once the song got over, it was like they stopped trying. It's like, oh, he's over, fuck it. And the end result, they turned him into a one-note comedy act, and it just didn't work as well. All right, but we're into the 30s now, so we're at the very end. All right, WrestleMania 30 from 2014. My choice was my favorite match from that show, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, with the winner getting a spot in the main event. And on this poll, the 5 options were the main event, Randy Orton versus Batista versus Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match. The end of the streak, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, a terrible match, but historically significant as well. So I could rewatch that one purely from a historical significance standpoint. And so I can understand if that one won the poll. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt needed to lose because of reasons. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal for the very first one. And the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws because I needed 5 options on this poll. But honestly, my preference would be the main event. I could see the main event winning the poll, but I could also see Taker and Lesnar winning just for the historical significance, even though the match is awful. So let's see what won. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is an interesting result. 3 of the matches on the poll got no votes. Nobody voted for Cena versus Wyatt. Nobody voted for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and nobody voted for the Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. In second place was 17% of the vote, Randy Orton versus Batista versus Daniel Bryan. And with a whopping 83% of the vote, Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Again, horrible match, but historically significant because of the end of the streak. So I can't get mad at it. It's like, yeah, it's a terrible match, but I could relive that one. Fandango's downfall, like a lot of talents who was getting over without permission. Yeah, it felt that way almost, right? But, yeah, so I would have preferred the main event to win that one, but I can live. I can deal with the end of the streak and the reaction to it, which was amazing. From WrestleMania 31, 2015, my choice was actually my favorite match on this show, Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. I thought it was a really good, well-built-up match and a really good executed contest. It was treated as an undercard match, but I thought it came off really, really well. The options here are the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, with Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank to make it a triple threat match with the world title on the line. Triple H versus Sting, which was Sting's WWF WWE debut, and was fun up until Sting did the job because, you know, fuck us. Rusev versus John Cena for the U.S. title, which I remember Rusev's entrance, which was awesome. I remember Lana being super, super over with the crowd. Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt, not one of my favorite matches. And we have the 7-way match for the IC title. So that one's on there as well. So my preference would be, of that list, probably the main event, just for Seth's cash-in. What do I think will win the poll? I think the main event will win. I think the main event was fairly well received, so I can see that one winning. Oh, guys, come on. What are you doing? Okay, so Triple H and Sting won the poll with 49% of the vote. How many Triple H matches am I going to fucking watch here? Guys, I mean, this is far from one of the worst ones, but it's like, Jesus Christ. And then they took one of my all-time favorite, Sting, and jobbed him out to him. It's like, great, wonderful. Love that. Lesnar versus Reigns versus Rollins got 10% of the vote. Rusev versus Cena got 1% of the vote. Undertaker and Bray Wyatt was number 2 with 39% of the vote. Come on, guys. What? And the 7-way ladder match got 0 votes. Oh, my God. Triple H. This is going to turn into a Triple H marathon. We don't take kindly to them WCW people. I think Hunter voted on these polls. He probably did. Roman will rule the rest of the Manias. Oh, God, is it going to be all the Roman matches moving forward? WrestleMania 32, a WrestleMania I was not a huge fan of from 2016. My choice was the best match on that show, the women's match, Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch for the women's title in a triple threat match. Now, the 5 options were Triple H versus Roman Reigns for the WWE World title. Oh, my God. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in a Hell in a Cell match. Oh, dear God in heaven, help me. AJ Styles making his WrestleMania debut against Chris Jericho. Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose in a very unremarkable no-holds-barred match. And a 7-way match for the IC title. My preference is AJ versus Jericho. That is the least objectionable match on that list. I think either the main event or the Hell in a Cell is going to win. Guys. Oh, my God. What did you do? Oh, God. There's almost no good option here. This is going to be bad no matter. Oh, my God. The winner with 47% of the vote. There was actually almost a tie. Thank God we didn't get a tie. Undertaker versus Shane McMahon in a Hell in a Cell match, 47% of the vote. Number 2 with 44% of the vote. Again, dangerously close to a tie. Triple H versus Roman Reigns for the WWE World title. Actually, of the 2, I would have preferred the Hell in a Cell match. So if you got to torture me, at least you gave me the one that tortures me the least. And then tied for 3%, we've got the no-holds-barred match and the ladder match. And AJ and Jericho was the last on the poll. The one I wanted was last with 2% of the vote. That is just depressing. That is very, very depressing. But at least I don't have to watch another Triple H match. That's good. All right. Now we're moving on to WrestleMania 33 from 2017. My choice was my favorite match on the show, the very explosive and awesome Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. More than made up for their Mania 20 match. So it's interesting. I'm going to get to watch both Goldberg-Lesnar matches. It'll be fun to contrast and compare. All right, now your 5 options were a horrible main event, Undertaker versus Roman Reigns for the in a no-holds-barred match. A disappointing Seth Rollins versus Triple H match. I thought that was going to far and away be the best match on the show, and it wasn't. The opening bout, AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon, which was actually really good. Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho, and they're the best built match heading into this show. And the 4-way tag team ladder match, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Enzo and Big Cass, Cesaro and Sheamus, and the returning Hardy Boys, so that match is known for its big moments. So my preference of that list would be AJ Styles and Shane McMahon, but I know you picked Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. Let's just pull that Band-Aid off now. Oh. Yep. Y'all are evil. You are evil. 57% of the vote. Undertaker versus Roman Reigns in a no-holds-barred match. Oh, my God in holy heaven. What did you all do? What did I do to myself? It's the last time I let you people do anything for me. I'm just kidding. Oh, God. Remaining results. Number 2 was Owens and Jericho with 25% of the vote. AJ and Shane McMahon got 10% of the vote. Rollins and Triple H got 4%, and the ladder match got 5%. So, there you go. And now we're at the very end, the final WrestleMania. WrestleMania 34 from 2018. Now, my choice was Charlotte Flair versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title, a match that I was not a huge fan of, but people raved about it and said it was arguably the match of the night. And I was like, really? Because everyone was super hype about this match, and I didn't think it was that great. So I have not rewatched it since last year's WrestleMania, and I saw it the first time. So I thought, let me give it a rewatch, and maybe it'll win me over this time. We'll see. But as far as the poll goes, your options were the main event for the Universal title, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. At least that main event is shorter than most of the other travesties, so if that one wins, it won't be that bad. The match that everybody said was match of the night for this show, Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in a mixed tag match. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title. which was a disappointing match, but not terrible. Daniel Bryan's in-ring return as he teamed with Shane McMahon to take on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And the opening IC title match between The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. Of those, anything but the main event, please. Anything but the main event. But I know the main event's going to win, so. Gunner is in NXT. Yeah, Gunner. Fucking Gunner. Yeah, he's in NXT. It's amazing, right? Okay, let's see. And the final match. This will be the last match I watch. And, oh, my God, we actually have a tie. We have another tie. How many ties do we have here? Jesus. All right, so the IC title triple threat and Daniel Bryan's tag match return both got 1% of the vote, so not much there. The mixed tag team match got 10% of the vote. And then tied at 44% each, the main event, which will be the final match I watch as part of this live stream series, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title. I guess that's okay. I would have preferred it if AJ and Nakamura just won outright, but what are you going to do? So, yeah, those are the results. You all are terrible monsters for doing that to me. Awful, awful. So, with that, the WrestleMania live streams will probably begin sometime next week. I don't know if I'm going to have a set day where I do them all. We'll see. I've got to get back into the swing of doing the weekly live streams, but we'll see how that goes. I think I'm going to break it up in a way where I'm doing maybe 6 Manias per show, except for the one with WrestleMania 12, since that one has an hour-long match on it. So that wouldn't be longer. But then again, the ties might set everything off as well, because I'm going to want to space these things out somewhat evenly. So I don't know how I'm going to map this out yet. That's something I'm going to have to figure out. But those are the results. I will post the full list on Twitter so you can all hold me to it. This video is obviously going to be posted, so there'll be documented evidence of what the results of the poll were. So I can't cheat myself out of any of the bad options, unfortunately. But that is all. So I guess I should thank you all for voting, but I'm not going to. Actually, no. This is the series you all wanted. This has been shaped by you guys, so whatever happens is on you. That's all I'm going to say. But, yeah, the WrestleMania livestream series is probably going to kick off next week. So thank you all for watching, and thank you all for participating, and hopefully you all have a good weekend and a good Super Bowl Sunday. But that is all I have for you now. So until later, peace out, everybody.